Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is a crazy Thursday, and honestly, we need to talk about the absolute madness unfolding on our screens this week. Grab a giant cup of coffee, maybe a snack, because things are getting intense and I have a lot of thoughts. Let's dive right into the drama. So we all knew the fallout from Will Spencer punching Eric Forrester was going to be bad. I mean, we all saw it coming the second Will's fist connected with his grandfather's face at the bikini bar. It was an accident, sure, he was aiming for RJ, but the damage was done. Eric was bleeding, Elektra was horrified, and Will was hauled off in handcuffs. But I don't think any of us, and I mean literally none of us, could have predicted just how far the shockwaves of that one single punch would travel. It didn't just ruin Will's life. It completely destroyed an entire fashion house. Let's just start with Katie Logan. Poor, desperate, terrified Katie. And honestly, maybe I'm being too harsh on her sometimes, but you have to look at this from her perspective as a mother. Will is facing actual prison time, assaulting an elderly man, a prominent figure like Eric Forrester. The press was having a field day, the police were involved, and RJ was doing absolutely everything in his power to paint Will as this unhinged, violent monster. Katie was drowning in panic. She realized that her corporate ambition, her intense desire to build Logan Creations and crush Forrester, had pushed her son to the breaking point. She felt responsible. And when a mother feels responsible for her child's impending prison sentence, she will do literally anything to fix it. Anything. Enter Ridge Forrester. Oh, Ridge. The smugness on this man's face lately is just off the charts. What was he thinking? Well, I know exactly what he was thinking. He saw an opportunity. Ridge didn't just see his father with a black eye and think about justice. No, Ridge saw a bargaining chip. He saw a way to completely obliterate his business rival in one swift, ruthless move. Ridge is a hypocrite. Let's be real. The man literally punched Bill Spencer in the face a few weeks ago. But suddenly he is the moral authority on violence. Give me a break. But you have to admit, it was a brilliant, evil business move. Ridge corners Katie. He brings her into this tense, suffocating meeting, and he lays down a secret deal. A devil's bargain. He tells Katie that he will make sure the charges against Will are dropped. He will get Eric to back off. He will call off the lawyers. He will save Will from going to prison. And there is always a massive but with Ridge Forrester. The price for Will's freedom is Logan Creations. Ridge demands that Katie completely shut down her newly formed company. Just close the doors, bankrupt the brand. And on top of that, she has to force Hope Logan Spencer to return to Forrester Creations. I was screaming at my screen. You guys, screaming. Ridge is literally holding a mother's love hostage to win a fashion war. And Katie is sitting there, tears streaming down her face, looking at this contract that essentially demands she burn her own dreams to the ground. She just built Logan Creations. She went to war with her own sister for this. Brooke literally slapped Katie across the face because Katie dared to use the Logan name and poach Hope. Katie sacrificed her relationship with Brooke to build this empire with Bill, and now Ridge is telling her to throw it all in the trash. But what choice did she have? Who actually believes this was going to end well? Katie is a mother first, so she signs it. She signs the secret deal. She trades her company, her ambition, and her niece's future, all to keep her son out of a jail cell. She signs the paper, and Ridge just gives her this cold, victorious look. It was chilling. It really was. And meanwhile, while all this dark, backroom blackmail is happening, where is Hope? Hope is completely oblivious. Hope is on cloud nine. She just had the most successful fashion launch of her entire life. Hope by Logan was a smash hit. Deke Sharp's designs were flying off the metaphorical shelves. The press was obsessed with her. She finally felt validated. She finally felt like she was out from under the suffocating shadow of Steffy Forrester and the constant corporate politics at Forrester Creations. Hope thought she had finally found her home, her true creative freedom. She was working late, sketching, planning the next collection, totally unaware that the ground beneath her had just been sold to the enemy. Then the hammer drops. It was so sudden, it gave me whiplash. Hope is in the middle of a design meeting, and suddenly the production managers come in and say everything is halted. The fabric orders are canceled. The marketing budget is frozen. Cease and desist orders are being slapped on the manufacturing lines. Hope is standing there, completely bewildered. What is going on? She asks. Who authorized this? She storms into Katie's office, expecting Katie to be just as outraged, expecting Katie to call Bill and fix it, but Katie isn't outraged. Katie is just sitting behind her desk, looking like a hollow shell of a human being. She looks empty, and the scene where Katie has to confess to Hope. Wow, the acting was incredible, but the storyline just broke my heart. Katie breaks down. She tells Hope everything. She tells her about Will's arrest, the threat of prison, and Ridge's blackmail. She admits to the secret deal. She tells Hope that Logan Creations is dead, effective immediately, and that part of the deal is that Hope has to take her line back to Forrester Creations. The look on Hope's face. I will never forget it. It wasn't just anger. It was total, shattering betrayal. You could actually see her heart breaking into a million pieces. Hope sacrificed everything for Katie. Hope alienated her own mother. Brooke literally disowned Hope, kicked her and Liam out of the cabin on the Logan estate, and told Hope she could never look at her the same way again. Hope suffered severe panic attacks. She collapsed on the floor from the psychological trauma of defying Brooke. She endured all of that because she believed in Katie. She believed Katie when Katie promised her autonomy, respect, and a true partnership. And Katie sold her out. Katie traded her like a baseball card. Hope realizes in that exact moment that she was never a partner. She was a pawn. She was just a bargaining chip in the endless, toxic war between the Forresters and the Spencers. Katie used her to get back at Forrester, and then Katie used her to save a Spencer. Hope's reaction was just absolute fire. She didn't cry. Well, she cried a little, but it was angry tears. She looked at Katie and just unleashed years of frustration. I gave up my mother for you. Hope screamed. I gave up my home for you, and you just hand me back to Ridge like I'm some sort of property. Katie is sobbing, begging for forgiveness, saying she had no choice. That Will is her son. He's my boy, Hope. What was I supposed to do? Katie pleads, and honestly, I get it. I do. But Hope's response was chilling. Hope says, you were supposed to be honest with me, but you're just like them. You're just like Ridge. You're just like Steffy. You use people? And this is where the storyline takes a turn that I am so here for. I have been waiting for this version of Hope for years. Usually, Hope would just cry, run to Liam, and then eventually cave in and go back to Forrester Creations with her tail between her legs. She would let Steffy gloat, she would let Ridge pat her on the head, and she would just accept her fate. But not this time, not today. Something inside Hope just snapped. The old, compliant, people-pleasing Hope Logan is dead. She looks at Katie and says, the deal is void, because I am not going back to Forrester. Katie is shocked. Hope, you have two. Ridge will reinstate the charges against Will if you don't. And Hope just stares her down. That is not my problem, Katie. That is yours. Boom. Mic drop. I literally cheered at my television. Hope is refusing to be the sacrificial lamb for Will Spencer's violent mistakes. Why should Hope's career, her passion, her entire life be ruined because Will got drunk and threw a punch? It's not fair, and Hope is finally standing up for herself. Hope walks out of Logan Creations, and she makes the most massive, game-changing decision of her life. She is cutting ties, all of them. She is done with Forrester Creations. She will not go back to a place where Steffy constantly belittles her, where Ridge treats her like a commodity, and where her creative control is always held hostage by family politics. But she is also done with the Logans and the Spencers. She is done with Katie's manipulation. She is done with Bill's ruthless tactics. She realizes that as long as she is attached to these legacy families, she will always be a pawn in their endless soap opera wars. So what does she do? She goes independent? Yes. Hope Logan Spencer is founding her own, completely independent fashion brand. No Forrester money, no Spencer backing, just Hope. She is taking her talent, her vision, and her drive, and she is stepping out into the wilderness on her own. I am so incredibly proud of this character development. It is exactly what she needed. She is taking her power back. She is no longer Hope for the future under the Forrester umbrella. She is no longer Hope by Logan. She is just Hope. I can only imagine what Liam is thinking about all this. Liam has been supporting her, trying to keep her mental health intact, but this is a massive risk. But you know what? Hope needs to take this risk. She needs to prove to everyone, and most importantly to herself, that she doesn't need a legacy surname to be a success in the fashion industry. And let's talk about the absolute devastation left in her wake, specifically for Katie Logan. My heart aches for Katie, even though she brought this on herself. Katie is currently sitting in the ashes of her own ambition. She lost everything. Think about it. She signed that deal with Ridge to save Will, and yes, Will is out of jail. Will is saved from prison, but at what cost? Will is still a broken mess, completely consumed by guilt for destroying his mother's company and losing Elektra. He knows that his inability to control his temper cost his mother her entire empire. That guilt is going to eat him alive. But for Katie, the professional and personal loss is catastrophic. She had to officially close Logan Creations. The company she built to prove herself, the company she sacrificed her relationship with Brooke for, is just gone, poof, erased by a signature on Ridge Forrester's desk. She lost her career, her standing in the fashion community, and her pride. But the worst part, the part that is really going to haunt Katie for the rest of her life, is that she lost Hope. Hope was her most loyal teammate. When everyone else turned their backs on Katie, when Brooke declared war, when the Forresters laughed at her, Hope stood by her side. Hope believed in Katie's vision, and Katie betrayed that loyalty. Katie painfully realizes that in her desperate bid to save her son, she completely alienated her niece. She lost Hope's respect, her trust, and her love. Hope wants absolutely nothing to do with her. Katie is left with an empty office, a ruined reputation, and a shattered family. She has no company, no lead designer, and no sisterly support. She is completely isolated. Was it worth it? That's the question the writers are forcing us to ask. Was saving Will from the legal consequences of his own violent actions worth destroying her own life and Hope's trust? For a mother, the answer is probably always yes. But the reality of living with that choice is going to be a bitter, bitter pill for Katie to swallow. She is going to have to watch Hope build a massive, successful independent brand from the ground up, knowing that she could have been a part of it if she hadn't sold her out to Ridge Forrester. And what about Brooke? Oh my gosh, Brooke is going to have a field day with this. Brooke warned Hope. Brooke told Hope that Katie couldn't be trusted, that this was all a mistake, that she belonged at Forrester. But Brooke is also going to be furious with Ridge for blackmailing Katie and trying to force Hope back like a piece of property. The dynamic between Brooke and Ridge is going to be so strained. How can Brooke look at her husband knowing he used his father's injury to ruthlessly crush her sister's business and manipulate her daughter? Ridge is going to have a lot of explaining to do. And Steffy is probably popping champagne at the Cliff House right now. Steffy gets exactly what she wants. Logan Creations is dead, Katie is humiliated, and Hope is out on her own without the backing of a major fashion house. Steffy probably thinks Forrester Creations is untouchable now, but Steffy better watch her back because an independent, angry, motivated Hope Logan is a dangerous competitor. Hope doesn't have to play by the Forrester rules anymore. She doesn't have to worry about Steffy cutting her budget. Hope is unleashed. I am just so overwhelmed by the sheer messy brilliance of this storyline. It is clunky, it is chaotic, it is emotional, and it is exactly why I have been watching this show for so long. We have real stakes here. We have a mother's desperation colliding with corporate warfare. We have a young woman finally waking up and breaking the cycle of manipulation. I honestly don't know where it goes from here. How does Hope fund this independent brand? Does she take Deke Sharp with her? Will Deke stay loyal to Hope, or will he try to get a job at Forrester now that Logan is closed? And what happens to Zende? Zende thought he was going to be the lead designer for HFTF, but now that the line is basically in limbo and Hope is gone, is Zende going to get pushed aside again? So many questions, you guys, so many unresolved threads. But one thing is for sure, the landscape of Los Angeles fashion has permanently changed. The Forrester versus Logan war ended not with a bang, but with a secret contract and a devastating betrayal. And from the ashes of that war, a new, independent Hope Logan is rising. I can't wait to see what happens next week. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are you Team Katie for saving her son? Are you Team Ridge for a ruthless business move? Or are you, like me, 100% Team Independent Hope? Sound off below, and I'll see you guys in the next update. It's going to be a bumpy ride.